Hey there gamers, and welcome to a preview of Singularity.Exe. Welcome back to the Board Game Co channel, and this is a preview of Singularity.Exe. Thank you to Octothorpe Games for sponsoring this preview, and please keep in mind that this is a prototype copy, which means everything that you see here is subject to change, but this is a head-to-head battling game in which players are going to have their different card systems, and they'll be laying out their different characters and fighting over pieces of Singularity within the system. Now, as I said, Singularity is extremely unique because it is a card game with no randomness whatsoever. All of your card decks are actually stacked in a specific order that you will always know, and the only randomness or surprise is what characters your opponent brought into battle. As you can see here, Singularity is played with your 5 characters lined up against each other. I do have them turned in a particular way for this preview. Normally you would have them facing each other like this, which makes a bit more sense with how you would have different characters battling, but I have them turned sideways just to be a little bit better for you guys to be able to see the different cards. Now you can see on this side, this player has 3 different characters available, which shows that they are currently the active characters, but on this side, it is actually this player's turn, and they are doing something that is called a swap, where they are swapping out an active character for an inactive character. So one of my active characters was already flipped over, and I will bring in one of my inactive characters, flipping over their stack of cards exactly as it was when they were flipped over, and their damage tokens also stay on their character. Now we are jumping ahead of the game, but the game was set up without them yet flipped over because I was playing, and I just wanted to correct that so that you would know this is how it would be set up in a normal game. Every player would have 3 characters active, and as soon as one of your characters die, one of your next characters has to fall in. This means that they have to immediately become active because you do always need 3 active characters. Now, as you guessed, because there are only 5, as soon as 3 of yours are defeated, you immediately lose the game, and vice versa. In order to win the game, you have to have 3 kills on the other side. In Singularity, players are going to have choices of different decks that they want to play. Now, there are hard-coded decks, which I'll explain in a second, but you are also able to deck build following different deck building rules that are meant for more advanced players. Now, the hard-coded decks are the decks that you can see here. They have a card, and then they tell you exactly who to take with you in your team. Now, it tells you not only which characters to take, but what cards to take with them, which are the base cards that they come with. There are some common cards that all players are able to have in their decks. However, this has them playing with their character-specific cards, and it gives you a bit of flavor about the different factions. Now, I will read this one just so you can get a bit of flavor for what the game is like. This is the Blaze of Shadow deck. This Celestial Shogunate deck hides in shadow before swiftly dispatching the opposition. If piloted well, your opponent won't know what to do until they find themselves in mortal peril. Stealth will create an impenetrable wall of darkness around you, and you can watch whole turns get wasted as your opponent struggles to meet cost requirements. Shred, Miko, and Shiho are tailor-made to counter an opponent's early progression. Shred can tear away a patch from Irritant Scratch, and healing options for Miko and Shred will undo your opponent's progress. Always be on the watch for creative ways to leverage Inscrutable Crone. Kagamusha and Satellite 137 are strong finishers, so don't neglect them. When you are ready to start deleting opponents, you want the awesome power of Regline's Retribution and Murmasa. Look to start setting them up when your RAM can accommodate it. For a powerful variation, look at Yin and Yang and Focus Soul for Shiho. So as you can see, for the hard-coded decks, you get a bit of how to play with them and what the play style is like and what you should be focusing on, things like stealth and stuff like that. Whereas the other decks that are hard-coded for you are the Metal Rain, the Terminus Complex, and Terra's Anchor. So there are those that are available for players to pick from, and they'll have the preloaded character setups for you to be able to play with. But once you're familiar with the game, you can make tweaks, change the decks, or just make one up on your own. Now let's get a little bit into the pace of play of the card game. So, at the beginning of the game, to determine who goes first, characters will decide who they want to be their first active character, and then they'll each flip them over. Whoever has the lowest health will be the one going first, and this is something that you can kind of determine if you'd like. Whereas you can see this character here has 11 health, so if you wanted to go second, you might choose them to be your first active character. Or, if you wanted to go first, you might use someone like with this 7 health here. After that, whoever's going first will take this token, and whoever is going second will get to take an energy token, which we'll explain in a second. From there, players will flip over their other 2 starting characters and play will start. Players will always have 3 characters on the board, and if you ever don't have 3 that are active, as long as you aren't in the moment of swapping one out or having one fall in, you will lose the game. But back to the beginning of the game, when the game starts, everyone will start with 1 ram. That is to say, when your turn starts, you will start with 1 ram, and it will become active for you. That is how much you are able to spend on different programs that are here in your available decks. You can see that Shred has a Irritant Scratch that has a cost of 1, so even turn 1, we would be able to spend this ram and activate this card. Now you can see that we're in the middle of a game, so every round you will gain another ram, and they will all become active at the start of your turn, meaning that it's cumulative, that the second turn you will have 2, and then 3, 4, and 5, so your old ram will always reactivate during that phase. Now there are 2 different types of cards. There are commands and patches. Now commands are played to the center of the play area and have an effect that is generally doing damage but may have other effects as well. Patches are very specific. The patches can be attached to whatever is indicated by the card, which can be any character, allies, self, etc. And when you have those patches, they are attached to a character, such as you can see Shred's patch here, that he has Scarification. This is attached to him that has an effect that when this character takes damage, heal this character by 3 health. Now that's pretty good, but he also has Cascading Illumination, which is when this character is healed, heal a different character by that amount, which means that he would be able to not only heal himself when he is damaged, but he could heal Miko over here, who is already damaged for 6 health. Now, as you may have noticed, a few things do stay on the board when you swap out a character. During any turn, you can choose to swap out a character. You can do this once per turn, in which case you would flip over everything for that character, and then flip over the character that you are choosing to become active. So you can see that I'm activating Satellite 137 here, and they previously had 4 damage on them, which is going to stay in play. Now, another thing that I just want to reiterate is that each of these decks that are specific to every character is ordered in a very specific way. The order doesn't change. It's only affected by what cards are in play when. So if they do have a patch out, they can play a command that will go to the discard, and then whenever the patch comes out of play, that will go to the bottom of that deck as well. So you can always anticipate what actions will be available and what you'll be able to do, and that may give you a reason to start cycling through certain cards or to activate certain characters at a certain time because you know what action they'll be taking. There is no randomness to this game, and it is a completely tactical card game where you are planning out all of your actions, and as I said, the only thing that is random is the surprises that your enemy has in store for you. As someone who has played a lot of card games, this felt a bit similar to a few such as Kaijudo, with the 5 different characters that you have to have available, or something like Pokemon, where you have to have a certain number of creatures alive or are active at a certain time. And it also felt a little bit like Hearthstone, where you have the gradual energy that you are gaining and then able to spend on bigger and bigger actions. That being said, it does play very quickly and is pretty punchy, and the fact that there is no randomness means that players can get faster and faster at the game and knowing what things will beat certain things and mastering the different card combinations so that they're able to then deck build and have stronger and stronger decks that they're able to test against each other. Now, to go back to this energy token that I mentioned a bit ago, you can spend this for a temporary RAM. RAM is what you're using to spend for your programs and your patches, and if you spend one of your batteries, you can take a virtual RAM, which is temporary, to have an extra for the turn. This means you might be able to pay for something that your opponent didn't quite expect, and it allows you to basically play a turn ahead, which is the catch-up mechanic for not going first. The different characters also have abilities on their character cards that they're able to use throughout the game. For example, Miko here has Binary Devotion. When a patch Miko activates is attached to a target character, she may have that character heal 1 health or lose 1 health. So she has different patches that she applies to different characters, and they have either good or bad effects. And when she places it, she can either heal an ally, I assume this is how she would want to do it, but she would want to heal an ally or have an enemy lose a health. So that's something that she's able to do. But another example over here would be Tonkor, which is Magnetic Crush. When Tonkor activates a command, you may remove 1 armor from Tonkor to give that command +1 damage. So instead, they're able to do extra damage if they have armor that they're able to spend off this character. And they also have cards that add armor, so you can see the synergy between the different cards that are applied to the character's deck. One thing I would love to note before we go is that the art that you see in Singularity, these beautiful, rich cards, are all made by human artists. They're made by humans that were inspired by the lore that's based in this world around Singularity and the different digital programs that you are enacting. And there are even different factions within the world that you can see that the different characters definitely seem like they belong to certain factions depending on the art that is used. But it is absolutely beautiful and made by human artists. And I just wanted to note that, and that it is not AI art whatsoever, because I thought that would be important for you to know. Thank you to Octothorpe Games for sponsoring this video. You can check out the game found link down below. The project is now active, and this has been a preview of Singularity. Thank you all for watching the Board Game Co channel. I'm Professor Meg, and I'll see you next time. Bye!